Hey, it's Marco here from Fair Realty. If you've been following my YouTube channel for the last 13 years, you've probably seen videos in the past about me talking about how much I dislike open houses. And open houses in Victoria are back in full force. If you've been driving around on the weekends, you've probably seen a lot of open house signs, even though it's the fall. There's also a lot of realtor-only open houses going on. I get approximately 10 to 12 emails a week inviting me to realtor-only open houses. These are open houses held during the week where only licensed realtors can attend that open house. Riddle me this month, the month of October 2023, we're on track for approximately 400 sales for the month. It's going to be the slowest October in more than 10 years. It's very slow out there in terms of sales. And guess what? The best October ever on record is in terms of sales. There was 990 sales. There's not a single October that's even close. October 2020, during the lockdown when open houses were banned by the health authorities and the provincial government. So how does that work? No open houses. We set an all-time record by a mile at 990 sales. Now, 3 years later, open houses back in full force all over the place, and we're not going to even hit 400 sales. We're down 60% on sales. It goes back to what I've been talking about for the last 13 years. Open houses are simply not effective. If we look at some Victoria Real Estate Board surveys, they'll show that approximately 0.8% of buyers find their property through an open house. That's less than 1%. The question I always ask is, if there was no open house held, out of that less than 1%, 0.8% of buyers, how many would have booked a private showing and bought the house anyway? I'm going to say at least half. So we're talking less than 0.5% of buyers find their home through an open house. And I guess you can approach it from a perspective of leave no stone unturned, but if you take that perspective, you might as well advertise a house for sale in Siberia, leave no stone unturned. For all intensive purposes or intense purposes, open houses are not effective. So why is everyone doing open houses? It's simply a marketing tactic for realtors to get a listing. So because there isn't a ton of competition out there in terms of real estate fees, it's not like if you phone 10 realtors, they're going to tell you between 20 and 40,000 in fees to sell your house. Most realtors are going to be clustered, approximately in the same range in terms of fees. They have to sell you something I call fog. So they tell you, well, we're going to do a realtor open house. We're going to get 20 of the top realtors to come through your property. We're going to do open houses. We're going to do open houses every weekend. It's a marketing tactic they're selling you to try to differentiate themselves from the other 1,649 realtors in Victoria. Yes, there are 1,650 licensed active realtors in Victoria as of today. For some realtors, it's a marketing tactic. For some realtors, their brokerages are really pushing them to do open houses. They sell them the philosophy of, the market's really slow. It's a buyer's market. You got to get out there right now. Great way to do that is through open houses. But really, the motivation of the brokerage is for a realtor not to go out of business, because the way the system works is a lot of realtors pay upwards of $1,000 or even $1,500 a month to their brokerage. The brokerage does not want realtors quitting the business, going elsewhere, so they keep selling them a lot of fog as well, such as get out there, do a bunch of open houses. So you get a ton of these open houses taking place, but sales are the lowest have been in more than 10 years despite these open houses. Because guess what? At the end of the day, it comes down to price. If you have two houses on one street, they're somewhat equivalent, and one house is doing an open house every weekend, the other house is not doing an open house every weekend, but they're priced better or they're better value, guess what the buyer is going to buy? The buyer is going to buy the house that's priced better, that's a better value. The buyer isn't stupid. The buyer can see everything online. They can contact their buyer's agent. They're going to go take a look at all the product privately, and then they're going to make an offer on the one they feel they see the most value in. They're not going to make an offer on a house just because the realtor is doing an open house every weekend. Secondly, in this day and age, what are the odds someone is driving down the street, they see an open house sign, and they're able to walk into a house that's $1.2, $1.3 million and qualify for that house at 6% interest rates? I mean, you have to have a family income of $300,000, $400,000 a year. This isn't 30, 40 years ago where you don't have floor plans online, you don't have 3D tours online, and most families 30, 40 years ago driving around on a Sunday afternoon could afford a house. That's simply not the reality anymore. Most serious buyers work with a buyer's agent. They do their research online. There's a ton of information accessible online, and then they book a private showing. Personally, I've done one open house this year, yet I'm probably going to finish the year with 80, 85 sales, which puts me in the top 1% of all agents in Victoria. How does that work? How can I be in the top 1% of agents in Victoria not doing any open houses? It's pretty simple. I don't sell my clients what I like to call fog. I sell them on reality. That's it for this week. Marco Juras, Fair Realty.